Hi there guys, how is it going? I do hope that you're keeping well. I'm coming to you with another huge update for AstroWizard, and I just want to kick things off really with a little bit of gratitude. I really do have to say thank you very much indeed for the support that you've shown for me with this project. I really do appreciate it, and you've allowed me to just keep pushing on and forging ahead. I mean, it's currently 5:30 in the morning. I've done a truly mammoth session tonight, but I've got a nice big update to show you for it. Another big thing that you've allowed me to do is sort out the Mac problems. I know there's quite a few out there using Mac who wanted to get this thing up and running, and basically I didn't want to exhaust all your good will towards me and this project, so I got myself a MacBook to sort it out. And you know, AstroWizard aside, I've never had a Mac before, and I can actually see why people like them. But the other thing I got for myself is a wrist injury, so apologies if I miss anything. I'm trying to get used to this new mouse that's hopefully going to stop damaging my arm. Anyway, enough introductions, let's jump on. As always, any new downloads are from astrowizard.lucametico.com. The links are on here. They point themselves to my Google Drive. It should automatically detect what operating system you're coming from and light up the button for you, but if it doesn't, I'm sure you can figure that part out yourself. We're on build 23rd of July, revision I. Revision I, it hasn't just picked that letter out of the blue. We've worked all the way from A through to I. It has been a session. I've been at this desk some time. So anyway, a few small website updates to go through if you want to have a browse and take a look at that. Really big change log going on here. We've got kind of guidance features in AstroWizard. I am going to show you all these, but the change log is pretty good and comprehensive right there. So there's guidance, gold trail, like a breadcrumbs idea that I had to kind of like reduce some friction for people trying to figure out the right way through the flow, if you like. I've added a lot of buttons that allow you to skip on from the next step. You can now click the pips at the top. There's a whole lot I can kind of point out to you. So I'm just going to fire up the wizard, and we can go ahead and do a little bit of processing together. So you'll notice step 1 is changed, and like I said, you can now actually step through the pips however you would like, and it will warn you when you're going back and ask you what state you want your data to arrive in an earlier step with. So that's a big change that's been added right now. So I'm going to go ahead and just load in I don't know, let's do this rosette data. Poseidon C rosette data. So this is from a hyperstar, I do believe. So it's loaded in, ready to go. Now, the previous button was like image looks all one color. I've kept that title because it is kind of one of the reasons you want to click on this step, because a lot of people load the data in and they might just see like a big green block or whatever. But I've now got a highlighted button to try to guide you through making the right choice early on. So you can see now it brings up a dual preview, and you can take a look and select for yourself without any forcing, you know, which way you want to go. So do you want to go unlinked or linked? Doesn't really matter too much at this point. It's just whether you can see what's on screen, because you're going to get another choice to pick for real on step 7. But just for now anyway, we're going to go with what we would normally go with, which is just linked. So I've clicked it. It's just brought back up the preview for you there, and now it's going to ask you, if you want to use this part, what this data actually is. So I know this is one-shot color dual band data. So I click that. That's now highlighted, and it's going to highlight throughout certain processing steps for me that it thinks that I should use. It's not perfect yet, but everything about it can be tweaked, basically. It's working from sort of a rule book, and all the rules aren't yet fully defined, but they're not bad. This is the only one I'm finding it hard to put any rules in for right now, so there's just a remnant like 5% crop there as the highlighted option. You can click any that you want. This is just giving you an indicated flow sort of thing. So I'm just going to be snappy about it. I'll bin this data so we can process it as fast as possible, and we'll move on. Now the process console's received more and more updates, so it's not just matrix style green text. It's actually pretty smart console now. It can help you debug issues for yourself. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes if you're having trouble, look at the console. It might tell you exactly what's wrong. It is quite good at reporting issues to the user, and if you do have some major issues, copy what's in that console and send it to me in an email or something like that, and that will be massively helpful to me. And if you could also like share me the data that gave you trouble as well, that can sometimes be a big help. But usually the console is enough to get the job done. I'll just move through the steps so you can see it's highlighting the default settings there, and now we've got skip on buttons. So if you do want to just keep using the normal next step stuff at the bottom, that's fine, but just to save you a little bit of mouse movement, something I've become acutely aware of now that my wrist's given up after being at this computer so long. But it's just a minor thing that I think is smoothing out the bumps, basically. So next up is background neutralization. You can skip this if you want, but it's not really going to do any harm. So I am going to run it. You can choose which of these to run. So they're both highlighted like the suggested step, if you like. And now that that's run, it's going to warn you that the step is already applied as well. So I've added this as a marker to like the AI steps in particular, where you could accidentally have applied it twice if you weren't paying attention to what the console outputs. So, like I could click it again, but I should hopefully notice that big yellow text pop up, and it should stop me doing that. It's not a massive issue that we've seen happening, but I've done it myself by accident during processing, so I know it can definitely happen. We'll just wait for NoiseXTerminator to finish. Now, that is all sorted out, by the way. As I said, on Mac, the GradientXTerminator NoiseXTerminator integration's working perfectly now and really fast on Apple Silicon. So noise reduction is finished. Next step. Once again, now stretching. This is currently fully functional, but I don't want to say it's fully built yet. It's just the next part of this build is going to take another entire session all on its own, I think, and the dream would be to have a stretching wizard effectively. So it's going to start with something like this, the wizard's way, and then you're going to see both and pick one. So like you pick linked or unlinked, and then hopefully have it come up with like a grid of potential stretch strengths for you and a custom option too. But right now I don't have that in. But right now this can help you pick which version you want to go with. So do you want to go with linked or unlinked? Well, I think unlinked is showing a bit more oxygen, excuse me, but I'm just going to go linked anyway, just for the sake of keeping things as simple as possible. You could go either. I have gone either in testing on this, and you're still going to end up with a lovely image. But now it's time to select a stretch. So you can see choice set, now pick a stretch strength below. We've added a couple new buttons. So there's deep, it can be added there, and also deep keep colors. So that's like linked and unlinked versions of a deep stretch, which can be useful for solving issues with particularly smooth data. I found a channel member called Lee, anyway, he sent me some data that was giving him massive trouble, and it led all the way around to this being implemented, basically a way to kind of solve this troublesome data, and it works out quite nicely, all said and done. So I think we can go ahead and test that out, but I'm going to use deep linked right there, and we'll just go ahead and treat that as our stretch now. I will remove the stars, and I want to show you some spells that I've added as well. This is a wizarding program, right? So why not have spells? Now I'm going to use dual band toggle mix. That's the one that's highlighted for me. You'll notice it's admittedly hard to see against that color button. Gold border. If you'd done like SHO data, the gold border would be around that one. So we'll use it, and let's give that classic kind of Hubble appearance going on. So it's got the start right there. As always, you can tune these if you wish using the real-time preview. Apply a small pip of saturation, and you'll notice now we've got these yellows and blues. Not quite right. Let's cast the spell. So if you're not confident with curves, where you could like sort this out yourself with a like an up on the reds, up on the high greens and down on the low greens sort of thing. Well, if you're not really comfortable doing that, you could just click yellow to copper and gold, and it'll do yellows to coppers and golds basically for you. And if you're not quite happy with the result, you can click the little spell book next to that button and see what that looks like. And if you want to, you can change the position of the pips as well and make it right for you, for your data, however you want. Because like once it's pre-constructed to a degree like this, I think it becomes a lot more accessible than expecting people to construct all this from scratch in a program that's meant to be user-friendly. I think at least that's the plan. Obviously, I want to go further with this thing and add more spells, if you like, to it. But right now, I think, we've got blue to teal. Okay, there you go. That blue just got turned more teal. It's pretty darn nice. Let's go ahead and add a bit of saturation. that's looking fantastic, I would say already. And make it pop has really took it up to the next level. I'm dead happy with that. Replace the stars, and let's just pop those back in at normal brightness. Happy. You know what I mean? Go ahead and save that and move on. So I'll show you another image now if you like. We'll just click start over. I don't need to save all these. This time we'll do, I don't know, I've got some cocoon data. I'll show you some now, some broadband one-shot color data. So it's just going to load in right now. This is again from a raster. And just stick to these. They're quick and easy and nice and eye-catching, aren't they? But you can choose which stretch we want. So again, these are both pretty close. There's not really any problems with visibility on this data. For the sake of showing you, I'll click unlinked on this. So just a moment while it renders that in for you. Some of these steps can take just a second to work. We know that this is one-shot color data. It's not dual band or any of these others. So we'll click that and hopefully follow along with the guided steps. So we'll use that. Drop. I know that this needs a flip, so I will go ahead and just do that. Horizontal flip. And for the sake of speed, again, I will bin this because this is enormous data, basically. Skip along. We'll do a GradientXTerminator on this. Hopefully you can see now that I'm just not trying to explain everything. The speed of which you can process in this program is really quite fast. Really, you're only limited by the speed that your PC can process these AI tools at, really. All the rest of it is it's really just button presses. It's quite snappy, you know what I mean? There is still enough room on that step 8 for some personal expression in your images, if you like, if you're proficient with things like curves, and our own tastes, of course, differ too. So you are going to end up with a slightly different image to someone else because you're going to use those buttons a bit differently, even if you don't interface with curves. But for those of you that do, you can still add a lot of personality to your images. No two ways about it. So let's have a look now. This is the reason for the second time around on the linked and unlinked. Hopefully you can see from this now. Unlinked view on this kind of target leaves you with like a bit of a brown mud going on over everything. It's not bad, and it would probably calibrate, but linked is really the right way to do this. So you can see by having them side by side, you know, which one we should really be going with. Now, some of these screen stretches are a little bit nuclear, I will admit, and that's something I would like to rein in, but this is just still a screen stretch at this point. So you can see the choice is set. Now pick a stretch, strength below. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. If I try maybe aggressive on this, it's not bad. Maybe deep with keeping colors. Better still, I think it's fair to say. So we'll go with deep and keep colors. One other thing on the stretching panel, I found that since the new stretching engine, the normal button was too weak, I think. More on that in a future video if people want to know more about it, but here we are for now anyway. So it's recommending a auto color balance as my next step, and then largely on step 8, I've taken the decision to just have it sort of leave you alone after the initial step is done. So we're color balanced. What else do we want to do to this thing? I think maybe remove the stars. Should just take a sec. You can see all the underlying nebulosity now. I'm going to maybe, I don't know, let's do some pops. Make it pop a little bit. So it's lifting it up. Maybe a bit of saturation. Going to do some curves on this. You know, you absolutely could. Bring everything up. I don't know. Let's just have a play around. There you go. It's looking pretty cool. But now I want a darker sky. So, you know, maybe I'll just bring that down a touch. We've separated the nebula from the background with just a few clicks. And a few seconds, really. It's pretty rapid. We could try like cool it down, add one for cool it down. These are just very basic functions that should apply well to most images. Again, like I say, if you're finding it's adding color unnecessarily to your backgrounds, you can just alter these lower background related pips down here if you want. If you want to make things more blue, maybe cool the colors down like that button's just done for you right there. It's not a bad result. I'll just go with it for the sake of demonstration on this. It doesn't look too bad. We'll try a green be gone to neutralize out any casts, and pop the stars back in. Place those, and maybe one more saturation. Pretty lovely image. I think it's fair to say it doesn't look bad at all, does it? You know what I mean? We've gone through this tired eyes, 5:30 in the morning, and it's taken no time to kind of get to this. There's a lot to like about this new build. I can just, you know, maybe process you one more quick image like that M51 that I've been showing over and over again, but it should give you an idea now of what the flow actually looks like on this data just while I really sign off. So let's go through this. As I started with, really, I'd just like to at the end of the day say thank you very much indeed for your support throughout. I really do appreciate it, guys, and I hope that you're enjoying AstroWizard. That's really what it's all about for me. If I can get this out there as something totally different to anything else on the market, like I've said before, really, that's what it's about for me. I don't want to compete with anything else. I want this to be something different. Do you know what I mean? Otherwise, in my mind, I would have failed if it just becomes like a worse version of PixInsight or something like that. That's just not what I want for it. I want AstroWizard to be its own thing, and I really feel like it is at this point. And hopefully, well, I know for sure that some of you guys out there are feeling that way. In fact, I had a really lovely message the other day from a gentleman who said that he'd been enjoying AstroWizard that much. He felt that he wanted to introduce it to his grandson, basically. So he's shown an interest in space, and he felt like this is a good way to get that young person into astro image processing, which, you know, is another way of enjoying these things that we capture, isn't it? It's not all just about being out under the sky, but also by working with the data, I think you get to learn the night sky a little bit more, because, you know, if you're looking through an eyepiece, you're never going to see the structure of something like this unless it's really good skies, I guess. But yeah, that was a really touching little story, I thought, and it made me think, you know, this has all been worthwhile. I mean, it definitely has been worthwhile anyway, but stories like that really make you think what a lucky chap I am to be in this position where I'm able to share things like this with you. It really is fantastic. So let's just use this view. For this, you know what? I'm going to go unlinked. I think that looks a little bit more promising for what we want. Looks maybe just a teach coloured. I don't know. We'll go with normal. That looks good for this data. It always did. So that proves to me that we're stretching engines back on track. I went through this at one point in the night and clicked normal, and it was just like too weak, and I thought, yeah, we need to make some changes here. So auto color balance, sky looks pretty good to me. Maybe one lighter, bit of saturation. Yeah, we're getting there. Looks a little bit tinged green maybe, so we'll try green be gone. That's worked. Do we want to add some warmth to this because it's looking a little bit cold? You know, like the color temperature is cool. Yeah, we do. That's looking a ton better, so that's pretty nifty to see. Maybe one more mask sat, maybe a pop as well, and there you have it. Hopefully you've enjoyed this, chaps. I really do appreciate you out there. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I know for sure this has been enjoyed by everybody. So I want to say again, like I say, thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed this demonstration, chaotic as it might be, but there's more to come. I'm certainly working on this project a whole lot. I just need to take a few days and let my arm recover. I think it's going numb again. So yeah, thank you very much indeed. See you in the next one. Hope you're enjoying AstroWizard. Bliss, guys.